We're so glad to have you here. So if you're not here for the 26th Tier 1 and Zoological Application Workshop, we do have the Tier 2 posted as well on our website, and you can contact me and I can show you if you can't find it easily on our website. So thank you for a bunch. All righty here. So we have mostly grantees registered for today, but we also have a couple of ZAP consultants that help us with capacity building, a couple board members for Tier 1, and then a couple grantees that are, or grantors, excuse me, they're interested in how we do our program here with the Tier 1s and Zoologicals. So welcome to everyone. I'm Samantha. I'm the director of ZAP, and we have someone new here today that will be working on mostly Tier 2, but will be helping as well. Our new grants and communications coordinator has been hired, and his third day is today. Third or fourth day is today. Cody, do you want to just say hello for a second?
Hi, everyone. My name is Cody Getz. Can you hear me all? Okay, great, because I can't see myself, so I have no idea what's happening. But yes, my name is Cody Getz, and I am the new ZAP Grants and Communications Coordinator. Very excited to be joining. Some of you may have known me as when I was Executive Director of Mundi Project. That organization was a Tier 2 grantee, and so I'm very happy to join the ZAP team in this new role and getting to know all of y'all and our ZAP grantees and helping to assist with the webinar today. I am definitely in the chat and monitoring things, so if folks have questions, I will be here monitoring for that as we go along. So thanks for being here.
Thanks, Cody. Appreciate it. Alrighty, well, Cody's going to manage the chat, so feel free to put questions in, or of course, I'll stop every couple sections and just see if folks have questions. But let's go ahead and get started. I am going to put the PowerPoint up for all of us. Give me just one second. Alrighty then. Okay, the first thing I wanted to mention that I hope will bring some relief to folks is there are no changes or new questions in the eligibility check or the application questions or the additional data questions. We didn't make any additions again or change anything in the QE worksheet. So if you are a current ZAP recipient in the category of Tier 1 and Zoological for 2024 or 25, you'll see that it's very much the same. We haven't made any updates or changes unless there were minor grammar issues or spelling, but so you'll be able to know what to do pretty quickly. I wanted to mention also that we created a new manual this year, and I will show you later on in the PowerPoint, but I'm going to mention it to you. We took different tips and terminology and the instructions from Zoom grants, as well as part of our code and other documents that we have here at ZAP, and put them all into one document, which we're calling the manual. So I will reference that a few times, and then I'll show you how to find it on our website, but hopefully it's easy for you to find a lot of things. We put an example contract in there. We provided the full financial health test so you know what you're being scored on and graded on, and we'll get into some of those details. It also provides additional data worksheet, as you know, that Smartsheets doesn't let you save it right away when you're doing your additional data. We've put a Word document in there for you to be able to complete it all at one time, and then when you're ready, you can place it into Smartsheets. So we will go ahead and get going. Let's see here. Next slide. This photo is courtesy of the aquarium. It's beautiful and interesting. Thank you to the aquarium for that. We just did introductions recently, just a minute ago, and we're going to move on to the overview of ZAP. Many of you know these basics, but we always like to introduce those again, just as reminders. We'll talk about Tier 1 specifically, including eligibility and the timeline. And then I will get into Zoom grants. I'll get into Smartsheets, the manual, and our website, so you know where everything is at your fingertips. And then we'll have plenty of time at the end to chat about it. This usually takes about an hour, and then Cody and I will stay on afterwards to answer individual questions. If anybody wants to get into any of the weeds, we're happy to talk through that. Also in the manual, if you want to set up a tech support meeting with me, you can just email me, or you can use the Calendly that's available in the manual, and I'll show you that in a second. All right, here's the team right now. We're hoping to onboard an assistant That'll make a complete team for us here at ZAP, a team of 4. Cody's the new one, and Kelsey and I have been around a little bit. So just a reminder of who the team is here you're working with at ZAP. Kelsey's not here today. She won't be speaking. She's on spring break with her kids, so good for her. Next one. Alrighty, so the mission of ZAP is to enhance Salt Lake County resident and visitor experiences through art, culture, and recreational offerings. As you know, because reauthorization was last year, it's funded through 0.1% of sales tax collected in the county, and it was voted and passed on in 96, and then 2004, and then 2024. In 2024, it was voted positively to approve by the voters by 79%. That's the largest margin they've ever had. So congratulations to all of you grantees who've been promoting ZAP and sharing ZAP, and who are grantees. We love to support the work that you do and you supporting the community. Alrighty, so the way that we fulfill our mission, the purpose, is in 3 primary ways. As you all know, grant making. So we do grant application, and we put those dollars from the community back into the hands of the public, which is you, the grantee. Now, each year when you do your application, you give us metrics from the previous year. So for Tier 2 in 2024, and that would be Tier 1 for the 2025 metrics. Altogether, it's about $26 million that was distributed last year to 244 grantees that reported to us to have over 7 million attendees at their events, whether those are charged or free. That's a pretty great number, so kudos to all of you. Then promotion is we increase the awareness of the value of ZAP and our grantees. That will be some of the work Cody's going to be focusing on. About half of his role will be in marketing and communications, and he's looking at all kinds of new, fresh ways and tech to help promote our grantees. And so if you have any ideas, you can always share those with Cody. Our third bucket is capacity building. And this is what Kelsey works on, the impact program, or maybe you've heard about the collaborative program. She's the one that helps with and provides the lunch and learns that are virtual, the in-person workshops, and so many other things. Right now, she's having a cohort meet, and they are talking about board management. They're talking about marketing and communications, fundraising, and the like. So it's a really exciting program. Tier 2s primarily participate, but Tier 1s and zoologicals are always welcome. They're usually bite sizes. They're about 1 hour to 2 hours, whether they're virtual or in person. She tries to keep those short and lean. All righty. Okay, let's talk about the board for just a second. Your board, particularly the Tier 1 and Zoological board. The board is really meant to build capacity, fund the facilities or parks, and oh my gosh, my brain just went, lands that the zoologicals are on, and to provide adequate and predictable support for those grantees that are Tier 1 and zoological. The board role, it is not an authority board or a governance board, but it's a selection committee or advisory board. And its role is to go through all of your applications in detail and score them and provide their recommendations to the county council, who makes final approval. There's 18 disciplines, including zoological, if you put all the whole list together of folks. And so the board does review those, score them, provide feedback to the grantees, as well as we do have an independent CPA. Many of you know that. Our independent CPA provides feedback on your financial health tests as well. So hopefully that information has been healthy and helpful. If you need help in Zoom grants, finding that, I'll show you today where you can find your feedback, as well as any materials that the CPA has provided to each grantee. We have a 7-member board structure. 2 members are appointed by Utah Division of Arts and Museums. As possible, it's evenly distributed amongst the 6 council districts. And we do have a member, and we have since I've been here, so 3 or 4 years now, of someone coming from the Arts and Culture Board. So the bigger county division board of Arts and Culture, we have members there as well. So I really appreciate that. Each board member takes 3 or 4 grantees on each year. They're the lead reviewer for that grantee. When they're the lead reviewer, they spend the most time and due diligence working on the application, leading site visits, asking a lot of questions. And so we make sure that each application is not only scored and reviewed by every single member of the 7-member board, but particularly the application is looked at by 3 or 4 folks who really spend time diving into the details. Within the next 2 weeks, you will receive from me an email that talks about the introduction of your lead reviewer. So expect an email from me from the next couple of weeks. If you filled out an intent to apply form that introduces you to this member, gives you a little bit of their background, and then I give them a little bit of background on who you are. And they can start making coordinated efforts to come see you as a site visit. Now, your applications aren't due, as you know, until the end of May, but they may reach out to you to start planning early to come when you can before you get away for summer, or they go away for summer, or they may wait to see the application. It's up to them, but we're trying it early this year so that the grantees and board members have longer to get to know each other and spend time together, understanding the purpose of the group and its work in the community. Let's go on to the next slide. Here we go. Grants are competitive. Tier 1, Zoological, and Tier 2 are all competitive. As you can see, Tier 1 receives 45% of this pie demonstrated here, and Zoological 16%. So you'll see 56% goes to this category. It is about 20 million, about 17 million of it, and the rest goes to Tier 2 and Parks and Rec. Parks and Rec takes about 10 million or 30%, and that goes towards their operating costs of the rec centers, walking trails, and parks. Alrighty then. This is some specific data about Tier 1 that I think is great. My favorite one each year is to see what your qualifying expenditures are. I understand that qualifying expenditures aren't all your full expenditures, of course. They have some haircuts happening. So this number to me is conservative, and it's still an amazing, beautiful number that all of you put out into the community of dollars to purchase things, pay for artists, whether it's overhead, or it's a particular program's marketing materials. It's still exciting to see whatever it comes out in, this large number that goes out into the community just by 25 grantees. It's just amazing. So these were the numbers that you provided last year in your 2025 application, and they were your 2024-ish, 3-ish numbers. So looking at the jobs you can see, and the attendees and events, you can definitely see the economic stimulation happening just in the arts and culture section of Tier 1s. So pretty amazing, I must say. Alrighty, some eligibility. It's not too difficult. It's in code, which is great and easy for us to see, but you'll notice here that nonprofit status of 501c3. We don't accept any 501c6s or C4s. We've been asked that a few times. We do not. It's 501c3s only according to code and statute. Excuse me. You need to have a 3-year average of qualifying expenditures of $390,000. So I'm going to clarify this just once, hopefully, but I can again if you'd like me to. But 3 years of qualifying expenditures, not just your operating expenditures of 390, but you really need to do the QE worksheet and make sure that you really have QEs that equal 390,000. Hopefully that was clear. I can explain it later if not. Must have main office or headquarters in Salt Lake County and have a great presence in our county as well. You've had to submit 3 years of audited financials. These financials need to be on your organization, not a conglomerate organization, but your organization itself of 3 years of audited independent financials. Of course, you need to be an arts, botanical, or cultural organization and receive Tier 2 funding for at least 3 years. The 3-year piece there is more about a relationship that the board understands in deep detail your organization's history. So that's what that one is about. All righty, let's see what we got. A couple quick things here. To qualify as a Tier 1 and to receive funding, I would say this is more receiving funding kind of comment, but we cannot exceed, or the program cannot exceed 35% of any organization's operating costs. So wherever you're operating, 3-year average is, whether it's around 390 or way above or somewhere in between. Know that we really need to not fund in excess of 35% of your total qualifying expenditures. So whatever you turn in on your application, you can see, hey, they're not going to fund more than 35%. That's your cap. I don't know if folks reach that very often, but that is something that's really important to note on regard to thinking about the amount that you may receive. Okay, does fund and does not fund. Pretty simple. We really, with tier ones, we fund a lot of unrestricted things. I think that we help pay for daily operations that many other funders may not, or may have strings tied back to them, but we're pretty open. And I think that's why ZAP is so popular, is that we do pay for salaries and rent and utilities, royalties, equipment costs, marketing costs, things others might not. But we do not fund things like debt, things like liability of rodeos, fireworks, and parades. We don't fund other agencies within Salt Lake County. We don't do fundraisers for endowments or capital campaigns. Those two types of fundraising are things that we do not do here at ZAP. So there is a full list in the manual. This is mostly a breakdown of about 2/3 of it, the things that we don't fund, the ones that we need to highlight. But in the manual that I'll pull up in a few minutes, we'll look through those really quick. Before I move on to getting more into the review part of it, does anyone have any questions? Cody, has there anyone got questions yet in the chat? Or no? I think I see no. Okay, great. I will just keep going then. Fabulous. All right, the scoring criteria, same as last year, same since I've been here. So it's been here since before 22. You'll see the percentages. That's always helpful to look through those. 30% goes to artistic and cultural vibrancy. Public benefit and outreach is 20%. Same percentage for governing board of 20%. Operational capacity is 15%, and financial health is also 15%. When you look at these 5 categories, the first 4 is what the board members really spend their time on. The board members spend time asking your questions at site visits or looking at your application with these 4 pieces of information at their fingertips to look through it with that kind of lens. The financial health part is done by an independent CPA who advises the board and the staff on financial health tests, on people's financials, concerns, those kinds of things. And so she really spends her time there. She shows up at our all-day meeting in September and chats with us about any concerns that she has. The board can deliberate about or contact the board, the grantees for any information beyond what's on their application, just to clear things up. So it's really great to have that CPA advising us, but just know when a board member shows up, those first 4 criteria are the ones that are looked at during your review. I think one thing to be important mentioning as we're looking at this is for artistic, cultural, and vibrancy, that optional video, I would really strongly encourage that all put an optional video, at least one in there, if not more, and still photos as well if you'd like. But to the board, that's really important to see live action of how your organization is helping the community, serving the community, has good offerings for the community. So they really look to those videos are quite important. So even though they're optional, I would strongly encourage that you submit a video for that. The other suggestion I would have is, as you go through your application, as you can, showing diversified funding sources is also helpful. So I'm not saying you have to put that in your application, but it is important to identify so that the board understands, are we the primary funder? Because ZAP is not supposed to be the primary funder of any one organization, doesn't matter what category or tier they're in. So you might want to mention that you receive funding from other groups. We probably know who those other groups are, but just a little note for you is I've noticed the board's asking those questions more critically lately about, making sure that we're not the only funder and that we're applying the statute and code correctly to our applications, review process, and awardees. All righty. Okay. This is kind of a messy and a clear one at the same time. As you know, you see the applications start in April and May, or March and April, I guess. April 30th is when the tier 2 is due, and May 30th is when the tier 1 is due. And then it moves right into review. So over the summer, June through September for tier 1, there's 3 parts to the review. There's the staff review, so that'd be myself and others looking at eligibility, completeness of the application, did they attach all the correct documents, and get it kind of packaged up, if you will, for the board. The board spends their summer coming to see you, reviewing and scoring all applications. And then if they go to performances, they really love to see you in action. So if you want to invite folks to your events. That would be really great, especially as the year goes on and reviews continue through the summer. Then about October, the board makes its recommendations to the council, and the council looks at that. So hopefully by October, you receive an email from me that says that you've been awarded and approved funding by the council. And then we move right into contracts. We'd like to have all contracts signed by the holiday, Thanksgiving. And then if you haven't already registered in Payment Works, that's the third party that the county uses, we'd love you to register there. Or if you've changed financial institution information, personal contact information, banking institutions, please update that so we pay you to the right place. This last year we had, out of the tier 25 tier 2s and zoologicals, I think we had 2 that payments didn't make it on time because there was wrong information. So let's just make sure that's cleaned up, and please let us help you do that. Alrighty. I wanted to mention for you one more thing about the previous cycle grant when I mentioned us going to council in October. This year, the Tier 1 board and Zoological board is having their all-day deliberations on September 25th. You're welcome to come to that public meeting or just to know about it. That is kind of the final date when we're trying to get everything done and prepared to get to council. All deliberations, conversations, the financial review by our CPA has been provided to the board. So that's kind of an important date. It's not for you necessarily to come, but more for you to know that's when we're going to try and wrap everything up the best that we can. This is how payments work. So in October, we're looking for getting the contracts out and having them signed by Thanksgiving. Then in December, any payment works that you need to do and have done by December 31 in our system. Each year, your first payment comes out in June. That June payment is 3 regular monthly payments. So that would be April, May, and June. Then July through February, you receive the same regular monthly payment each month. March, so just last month, no payment at all. And then April is when we pay your final payment. So by the end of this month, you'll all receive a notification from me letting you know how much your final payment is, and then also letting you know how much over the whole year we've calculated that you've received so that you have those for your records. So expect a letter before the end of this month from me on that for finishing 24. And then another letter from me in June starting cycle 2025. Alrighty, easy ways to stay connected with ZAP or get us to share your information or feeds. We'd be delighted to promote grantees. If there's certain things you would like in the newsletter or that you want us to share out on social, please let us know. We're excited to do that with you and get those things out. LinkedIn particularly, the numbers are a little bit low. We've just gotten into LinkedIn. We want to do more with that group, but only some of ZAP's work is relevant to that group, but we are trying to grow it, just a side note. And then all kinds of videos are available from ZAP in all kinds of ways on YouTube. Alrighty, we are going to get into some of the details or all of the details, but I want to see before I jump, any questions from anyone so far in the chat?
No, not at this time.
Okay, great, perfect. Stop sharing. Okay. Wait a second, my PowerPoint does not want to, oh, there we go. Fabulous. Okay, we're going to start on ZAP's website. And I will start sharing. There we go. Already, you've all been to ZAP's website before. Nothing exciting or new here. Just come to the regular ZAP website, zapisu.org, and click on the grants. Come up. Okay. There's a grant categories for a little bit information, but really you want to click on Tier 1 and Zoological, how to apply. When you get to this page, you'll see different links that are helpful for you. You've got the webinar today to register for. The next one is the application deadline and contact information. The grants manual is right here. And then the link to Zoom grants. So I'm going to pull up the manual just really quick and show you a couple of things, and then we will jump into Zoom grants. Alrighty, so here's our manual for 2026. It looks lengthy. We tried to put in detail in the best table of contents we could possibly for you. That helps a little bit. But you can see that we put a lot of work into this to hopefully help support your needs. So examples of things that might be interesting or helpful, I'm going to bump to this page just really quick, are the different sections. So you'll notice this is the first section, which is eligibility. This is a quick checklist if you can see if you're eligible or not just by looking through this list. And then you can get into some details if you want to know what eligible discipline that you're in. We did talk about things that we do not fund. The full big list of the things that we do not fund is right here on page 10. And now we're going to move to application process. So this section hopefully will help you have dates in mind right there for you so that you don't miss anything regarding to when we open, close, when the webinar is, when the deadline is. And then we've talked about different things like what your application looks like, Zoom grants, tips, and terminology is available for you. And the link to open your 26 application is here. It's also on the website, I'll show you, but we'll move this section to the next section so we can talk through that. This talks about the review process that I just highlighted for you. Again, I just gave you some highlights, but this gives you the actual details that you're really going to want to see and know. Nothing different if you've been with us before. We just outlined it for you so that you would know what that looks like in detail. So, and it just talks about everybody's review and how that works. It also talks about the scoring, so you can see here how they score. So if you want an exceptional application, you want a 7 from a board member, this is definitely the section you'd want to look at to find out how you can reach that high score. Also talks about the financial health test scoring right here in financial health test. You can get lots of information from here that you could think, okay, how do we score better if we've failed? Or if we failed just 1 or 2 of the tests, but we passed the rest, how do we get past that and move on in different ways with ZAP without having that as an issue? All your criteria is there and the scoring matrix is there. It then jumps to what I did in the PowerPoint, which is the contract and payment process. Again, we'd love to have contracts signed way before Thanksgiving if possible. And then our third party provider of the funding of payments, I guess, payment system. Payment works. Let's get all that correct. If you've updated anything, we'd love to know about it and get everything accurate for you and get that payment on time. ZAP information is at the end. This is the end section. And then we go into things like your application. So we included in the manual a copy of your application, copy of the contracts, both Zoological and the Tier 1. Here is the additional data sheet. We'll go into Smart Sheets in just 1 second, but I'll show you that Smart Sheets doesn't save your data, unfortunately. And so you can plug it in here or copy this and make a document. Then once you have all your numbers together in one place that you need to put in there, then you can make your way into Zoom Grants and not Zoom Grants, sorry, a Smart Sheet and put that data in there. So it just shows a little bit about it, the things that we ask you for. So this is the manual. I know that was kind of a lot to flip through really fast, but it's basically the PowerPoint, but in very much detail that might be helpful to you as you think about your application and putting it in this year. Alrighty, we're going to go back to the ZAP website. Oops, grants, there we go. Tier 1, okay. So in the manual and right here is the Zoom Grants link. So unfortunately, you can't just go into Zoom Grants under your regular account and just pull up 26. Each year, you have to jump into this link, unfortunately, and then that takes you into Zoom Grants. You sign in like normal, and then the 26 application will show for you quite quickly, which is great. We're going to get into Zoom Grants right now. I'm going to sign in just really quick. My view does look different than your view as the applicant, so I will jump to your view as well. For 2026, we'll go through everything that you need. Just 1 second. So this is what my screen looks like. 26 Tier 1 and Zoological application. There we go. But just a second. Oops. Okay. Looks like we've got 9 applications in the system. currently, that doesn't mean they're done. It just means people got in, made sure they could log in. Once you've logged in as the account owner, it makes it much easier for collaborators to go in. So collaborator, if you just have someone as a collaborator, they cannot go in and start the 26. You got to start it for them. So whoever the main owner is or main contact for Zoom grants in their system is the one that can start the 26 application. Then your collaborators can come in and do their thing and put their information in there. So hopefully that was helpful to talk through that, because sometimes collaborators try to open it and they struggle. But if they're not the primary, then it's unfortunate that they can't start it and get 26 rolling for you. But here's the applicant view coming up in just one second. All righty. Let's see. Okay. So when you first jump in, as you know, there's some instructions for you if you just want some basic application instructions. Again, we pulled all this and put it into the manual, but if you want it real time right here next to you, it is available. This is the application. Then there's requirements. So if you just want a refresher again on some of the requirements, eligibility wise, qualifying expenditure worksheet wise, it will be right here for you. The restrictions, again, that lengthy list that we saw previously is also available for you here just by clicking these tabs up here. I wonder if I can make my screen bigger for you. Hopefully that helps. Okay, we're going to hide the restrictions. We're going to show resources. The only resource we have this year, because everything else is in the manual, is going to be the QE. The QE is the only thing that we have put in here. Sorry, I have to get down here. I'm trying to show you. Oh, documents. Nope. Where's the resources tab? There it is. Right there. So that's the only thing this year. Before we had put a lot of things in, tips and tricks and Zoom grants, your smart sheet Word document that helps you with your additional data. We put all that in the manual. So the only thing you're going to see this year under resources is the Tier 1 and Zoological QE worksheet template. That's it this year. And then some help from Zoom grants. Sometimes just asking within the system is helpful. It's actually pretty simple, but please let us know if you need any help at all with Zoom grants. We're delighted to answer any questions or walk you through anything. All right, so this is the help. These windows are just the help windows, the instructions, some reminders. But let's go down to your application. Let's go summary. The summary is pretty easy. It's really a profile, right? It's the contact's name, phone numbers, email address, your organization's legal name. As you can see, mine's Super Sam's and Sam's City Centers. I put a fake application in. I would ask that you spend a minute here. We really struggle with contact information. We get a lot of emails from folks saying, hey, our executive director changed, our development director changed. Can you please not send these emails to this group, or that we're missing emails, we're not receiving your communications. I would just ask each year that you spend, even though this stuff is already in here for you, just check it for accuracy if you wouldn't mind, because then that makes it way easier for us to communicate with you. So just glance through this summary section that just has the basics again, financial contacts, your Utah identification number, all those kinds of things. I think I saw a question.
Yes, the question comes from Kurt. Can a link to the manual be added to the short list of resources, if appropriate?
Oh, sure. Sure, we can do that. We can do that today. Great. Okay. The same number of questions are in here. Just a reminder that we didn't change anything. I think it's like 11. It says eligibility questions there's technically 11, but the last 3 are data and the one before that's for information purposes only. So the first 7 are the ones that actually have data that we'll use for scoring purposes or informational purposes. The other ones are just basic information. Of course, uploading your 501c3 letter. I will say that sometimes people accidentally upload the wrong thing in this one. I don't know why this one particularly, But out of all of them, this is probably one of the ones that the wrong document accidentally makes their way in here. A lot of times it's a support letter or something they meant to put in the other kinds of documents area. So just a note for yourself to maybe double check that 501c3 designation letter from the IRS would be super helpful. That way we're just not slowing things down for your review process in any way. Again, application questions. That video, I'd really love if you could put a video in or some stills. That the board really likes that, and they'll be very satisfied if you put that in there. Then, of course, we did leave the help language in so that you know which questions are which category. So you know that question 2 is for the artistic, cultural, and zoological vibrancy. The next couple are for, sorry about that. Public benefit and outreach, 20%. So the next few questions are about public benefit and outreach. So you know kind of how to attack, if you will, the writing of your application. Governing board here, 6, 7, and then 8 is the management organizational capacity. Financial health is the 15%. Again, most of the financial health is going to be what you attach in your financials and your QE worksheet. They use a little bit of this for some of that, but not a lot. The 24 evaluation, this is kind of your post-spending evaluation report is how I would look at it. And it's not a separate document, thank goodness, it's actually within this. So these next few questions through 14, so 12 through 14 are those ones that are a look back. That's kind of important when anything happens at the county. One of the first things that management asks me for up above my head or a couple levels above my head is, can you get us the post-spending report? What did they use their money on previously? So just so you know, this is actually used. It might not feel like it, but the board sometimes asks for it too. They really see the application. They want to talk through these things. So, and then your smart sheet, your additional data smart sheet. You can click on the link and it will take you there pretty easily. I have it up already, but I think it went, what do you want to call it? Logged out because I was gone for so long. This is what it looks like. No changes. Again, just basic organizational information, discipline, numbers around your employees and volunteers, your audience, events, and then, oops, let me get past here. Event location is your governing board. So we didn't add anything, subtract anything from the additional data sheet at all. So hopefully you can whiz through that pretty easily, and that doesn't cause a lot of issues. When you're trying to identify the district, council district of where you had your different locations of events, remember there's this link in here. There's also a link in the manual that is the Salt Lake County Interactive Map. Click on it, put the address in of where you had the event, and it will pull up what district it is, just for accuracy. And if you ever need help with that, we're delighted to help. It's kind of fun to actually look in there and see where different things are happening around our grantees' event locations. So,
Samantha, I'm going to jump in here.
Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead. Let's do this.
Jessica from Ballet West has a question.
Okay.
Manual says the deadline is at 11:59 p.m. on May 30th. It says 5 p.m. in Zoom grants, which is correct.
11:59. I apologize for that. I will change it in Zoom grants. I must have missed that update, so I apologize, and I will do that as 11:59. Other questions? QE worksheet, would you like to, I imagine you want to look at that. Again, for people who haven't seen a QE worksheet. Let's just go look at it. Oh, and I forgot the documents tab too. All right. We don't have a lot of issues with this. You all do an amazing job with all these documents, uploading them. It's very rare that it's the wrong document or it's not what we're looking for, the board needs to see. So kudos to you. You always get this one right. There's so much to do here, and you just always get it right. So thank you. There are 2 areas that are optional. This one's strongly encouraged. I would also encourage that you all have things that are documents that would be helpful for the board to understand more of what you do. A couple of the ideas are annual reports that you do, annual list of partners. I would encourage you to go ahead and do that. I've seen the most I've ever seen under the visual documents, that's this section here, was 19 documents by a grantee. I don't know if that's quite, yeah.
Are you sharing a document
Oh
right
my
now?
gosh, I'm sharing, not sharing and showing. Oh,
Yeah,
you guys,
Kurt's
I'm
asking
so
a question
sorry.
up there.
Okay, sorry about that. I was just saying, this is the documents tab,
Okay,
and you all do a
thank
great
you.
job. You can see all the yellow highlighted. You almost never get this wrong. I don't know how you do it, but you do a great job of adding all your documents here that have no issues and everything the board needs to see and the CPA needs to have. What I was sharing was down here towards the bottom, there's some optional ones. This one's strongly encouraged. This one's optional. And then there's one right here as well. I would highly recommend that if you have playbills, annual reports for yourself or other annual reports you do for other things like POPs or IC, think about putting them in there. Board members do look at all the materials, especially new board members. They want to know more about your organization and get to know you. The most I've ever seen I mentioned was 19 optional visual documents. I don't know that you need quite that many, but I know that all of you have lots of great marketing materials that you could put in here to talk about the segmented population that you're working with, what types of performances you're doing and where they're being held at. So anyway, this is the documents tab. Should be pretty easy for you to put it on. You all do so well at that one. I just don't know how you do that one. It's so good. And then I'm going to find, there we go, show resources. I will add the manual. Thank you for that suggestion. And I will update the 5 p.m. deadline on the 30th. I'll change it to 11:59. We're going to pull open the QE just really quick. I'm going to pull it from my other screen. Give me 1 second. There we go. Doesn't want to enlarge for me for some reason. Okay. The first 3 tabs are just instructions and information. It's definitions. It helps you put the sheet together. It's a little bit like taxes, where it explains it to you with a number, and then you go put it on your document. So just know the 3 first are just information that will be helpful to you. The next 3 are quite the important ones. Those are your financials. 24, 23, 22. Again, we're looking for independent audited financials for the organization itself, not a larger entity, but the organization itself. One important thing, probably one of the more important things that I'll say today is this. Please, 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 if you have had the CPA revise your QE sheet, or you've revised it for the CPA, or you and the CPA agreed to revise it in a certain way, please start with that. Reinventing the wheel and starting fresh again and having your old numbers in there that weren't revised takes our CPA a lot longer to get where it needs to be, and it costs us a lot more money. So I would ask this last year in 25, last cycle, 22 of the 26 applicants to Tier 1 and Zoological had to have revised QE worksheets under one of these tabs, if not more than one. Some people have them every year. They have them over and over again, which is fine. But I would just ask that you start with the ones that are revised. And I'll show you where to get those out of Zoom grants in just a second. There's a couple more pages of information. This is one of them that talks about some things that comes in here. So this automatically, when you start filling out 24, 23, and 22 tab, they come in here automatically. Summary, actual use. This is also to help you with your formulas when it comes to rent, gift shop and concession calculations, and salary cap. The salary cap is in here. This was new as of 1 or 2 years ago. It's 109,620. We will probably reassess that in the next year or 2 to see if that needs to change and be bumped up, but probably not this year. The last 2 pages are optional depending on what you share previously in the QE. If you have reconciliations you need to explain, there's plenty of room for that. And other explanations. If there's other things that you want to talk through that you want to share with the CPA, she does receive these and she downloads them straight out of Zoom grants herself, makes any revisions and then returns them to us. So that's the QE worksheet and what it looks like. I did mention that you could find in Zoom grants. I'm going to go to see if I can put this in here. I don't want to do program setup. I want to go back. I'm going to pull up my application that I put in here so you can see it. I have to use an actual application to show you. this, but I just wanted to make notice that under your summary tab, right in this section here, it says official decision comment on your summary tab. That is what the board says. So I will make sure that each year that's got content in it that the board has shared directly, either positive or areas of challenge for the organization they'd like to see addressed. So whenever you want to know what the board has said, if you can always get the recording of the minutes. We post the minutes on the public Utah Public Notice website. You can get the minutes there, or you can come here for your direct organization and find out what the official comment was from the board. There's one more place I wanted to show you. In your documents tab, I know I'm cheating here a little, so excuse me. In your documents tab, there's a section right here called administrative documents. This is where I post revised QEs and the checklist from the financial health test. So if you ever want to see, well, did the CPA revise mine? I don't even know. Great question. Jump into Zoom Grants under documents, and under the administrative documents, which is under that really long list of documents that you just put in there. You will see in 2025 whatever she has done with your checklist for financial health test, as well as revising your QE. It'll be right in there waiting for you. If it's not for any reason, let me know, and I'm happy to resend those to you or repost them into Zoom Grants, whichever is easier for you or whoever's putting the application together. So, any questions so far?
None so far in the chat.
Great. Okay. A couple of tips I was going to put in here, because I went over that kind of fast, and I can go over anything else you'd like me to, is best practices that I would say would be probably smartest to do. We talked about that was the video, right? So try to put some video in there, try to put some optional documents in there. If it makes sense, those would be greatly appreciated. Invite the board to your events. Go onto our website. And invite the board to our events, and I will show you where this is at. I have to do that, so let's do that. You probably all know how to do this, but we did move it. So I want to share that since we did move it. Oops, resources. So under resources, it's this one right here, invite Salt Lake County to your activities and events. You click that, and it's just one form now instead of two, and you can talk about whether you want the board invited or the board and the council invited, give the details of the event, and then we send these out about every 2 weeks to the board. So if you have something that's quicker than that, like, oh gosh, we forgot to send one in, we have one this weekend, let the staff know so we can get it out right away. Otherwise, if there's plenty of time, please use this form to invite board members to your events. QE worksheet, again, please begin with anything that was revised from last year or the year before, so that the CPA doesn't have to go over that. And then feedback, I would just look at the feedback. And I mentioned to you there was a little square there that you could see direct feedback from the board. I'd really love if you all address that, whatever it is, whether it's positive or a challenge. The board does know year to year what was mentioned the previous year, the grantee, so just kind of be aware. I guess it's an awareness thing that they do look at previous year's applications and information to say, what did we advise them last year? Are they still in the same situation? Or wait, we've even grown way more than this, or outreach is wonderful now, or kind of whatever it might be. They really do pay attention to that. So questions of any sort? Doesn't look like we have any, but I might be wrong.
Nothing else in the chat.
Okay, great. So we talked about the narrative responses. Those are both the eligibility questions, which are short responses. And the narrative other ones are the application questions. Those are a little bit more in length. The QE worksheet is an Excel document found in the resources tab. And then there's plenty of room to upload supplementary information and materials for the board. And then the smart sheets is just the additional data, which is just really metrics numbers that we're looking for the board. So it's a walkthrough. Again, apologies for the 5 p.m. Thank you for the correction. We will get it done. No late applications will be accepted, but this doesn't matter tier 1, tier 2, or zoological. We do get requests occasionally for an exception, and I've never seen one. This will be my 4th cycle. I've never seen one approved to be submitted late. That was really fast. fast forward language I was using, going quite quickly. Do people want to chat through any questions? Are we good, or how are we feeling? What can I help you with today? Anything? No? Alrighty, well, that means you get about 36 minutes back of your life. Yeah? Isn't that wonderful, right? I hope it was helpful. Please let me know if there's any other errors or if you want anything done differently or posted differently. We're delighted to serve to get whatever we can do to help you be a successful applicant and grantee. Yeah, thank you. Thank all. Yay. Bye-bye. Have a good weekend, all.
Bye, everyone.
Thank you for coming.